5 plays, but that's okay. We need the work, and he got good work in. Well, I think it's good for Pat, but I also think it's good for the offensive line and Pat to see kind of how that's going to work and get a feel for him, for them to get a feel for him, and likewise. So, and we've got some young guys that's why I left them in with Chad so that they could get a little bit more extended work there. And really, all 5 of you, even though we've got 2 veterans on the left side, I mean, all 5 of them are new. So you need to play, and that this gives us that opportunity.
A little insight there from a Super Bowl winning head coach, Coach Andy Reid, saying that he'll give Patrick Mahomes and his starters reps in their final preseason game. So it's always fascinating and difficult to go through how these coaches have to make these decisions about how teams should approach preseason snaps and work out there. There's a very risk versus reward feel to it. So some teams have their starting quarterbacks securely on their butt, bubble wrap on the sidelines. True contenders like the Chiefs somehow still giving their starters like Patrick Mahomes reps. How do you feel about how teams are approaching this in their final preseason game now that there's only 3?
Yeah, well, typically in this situation, I would say sit Pat Mahomes. But, you have Patrick Mahomes. You have 3 preseason games instead of 4. So you're trying to get as much work as you can in there. And Patrick Mahomes, he looks good. He's moving around well. We all know he had that turf toe in the offseason, that foot surgery. But he needs to be out there with his offensive line. As much as I want to say, well, health is wealth, and you have to protect your investment, and you're paying him $500 million. So why are you putting him out there? He needs to see what it feels like with 5 new guys in front of him. The 5 new guys in front of him needs to feel blocking for an extended amount of time, knowing that Patrick Mahomes can extend plays, so that way it's not a shock when you get into that first preseason game. I wanted to come in and say, well, listen, I'd rather not see him. Seeing Patrick Mahomes in the last preseason game is like seeing Giannis Antetokounmpo in the summer league.
Sure.
But, they're 2 different guys. You have one guy who's a Greek freak and one guy who's the Chiefs freak. And I feel like Patrick Mahomes right now, he needs as much reps as he can, because the last time we saw him running around was with that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense destroying their offensive line. So if he can get out there and get a few reps in that 3rd preseason game, they'll be perfectly fine.
It's a matter of philosophy, right? So Justin Herbert has a whole new offensive line also. He's got Corey Linsley, a new center. He's got Rashawn Slater, new guy. He won't touch the field. Brandon Staley was like, we're not putting Herbert out in preseason. And he's just a second-year guy.
Yeah.
I would imagine Mahomes is a little more experienced, is a little more comfortable with the Chiefs' offense than Herbert would be with the Chargers' offense, but that's philosophy. Jared Goff never played under McVay in these preseason games. They just put him on, like, what's the point? We're not going to get do scrimmages every day. We practice. I find it really interesting, the different philosophies, because Andy Reid is a Super Bowl winning head coach, like you said, and he's no fool, he's no dummy, and yet he wants to see Mahomes get 33 snaps in a second preseason game. Like, what's to gain from that? But his thing is, new offensive line, let's get comfort, might as well take it, it's free, might as well have it. Yeah. Daniel Jones hasn't taken a snap all summer for the New York Giants. So much pressure on him. I think he's going to play the first half this week in their season finale when they play the Patriots. I think that's the feel out of New York, that we are going to see Daniel Jones. And I think those snaps do matter. I'm with you on that, Nate. I feel like it almost is a momentum thing. If Daniel Jones can come in and operate 2 really good drives, not only does it catapult him and his confidence with that offensive line and that offense and some of these new weapons they have, but it also can have the Giants fans feeling like, okay, that was a glimpse. We know we've got something good here. We got something good here. I don't think he's going to fall on his face in a preseason game. I like it to see them get a little bit, but Herbert, I don't think Burrow's going to play much if he plays at all. And you see Stafford out in L.A. He's not playing. It's a matter of philosophy, and these coaches differ. And I think there's a really interesting piece to like who coached with who and what their philosophies are. But in this case, Justin Herbert doesn't have to take a snap, but Patrick Mahomes needs to take 33. It's just what it is.
It's insane to me. The Daniel Jones thing makes sense. Like, seeing Patrick Mahomes, I hate it. It makes me so uncomfortable. It just, even, like, it affects our jobs, too. Like, I'm nervous seeing Patrick Mahomes out there. Because it's not, the metaphor is, it's not the CEO of a company. It's like the pilot of a plane when you're in the air. Like, if the pilot goes, like, we're screwed. We're absolutely done. And it's true. It's all over the map. Like, there are old maid guys. Rodgers won't play it down. Russ Wilson won't play it down. Stafford, you mentioned. Middle of the career guys, Derek Carr won't play. Tannehill won't play. And then there's also young guys, Josh Allen and Baker, not seeing the field. No. They're just not doing it. And yet Patrick Mahomes, the future and the face of the sport, is playing 33 snaps. I listen, Andy Reid is Andy Reid. Who am I to question it? Are you telling me that you can't go through live scrimmages, live versus the ones in practice, with your O-line, in unbelievable, endless kinds of drills to simulate that? One thing. I'm just saying, collarbone, gone. See you later. The season is done. Chad Henne is your starting quarterback. It is over.
So, the argument is it could happen at practice too.
Not as likely, though.
Not another team.
I mean, like, even Trevor Lawrence last night, like, I don't know what the hell he was doing out there. This isn't as good.
Those guys on the Saints are trying to make the team.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They're trying to take his
hit
head
him.
off.
But no one's
in
hitting Patrick
practice.
Mahomes
You're not
practice.
touching him in practice.
Or you're cut.
Or you're gone. Like, you can walk
just-
home.
Andy Reid, it works for him. I hate it.
What do you think?
But we've seen it before. We've seen guys go down in practice. Andy Reid is old school. Let's just call it what it is. You named a couple of young coaches. These young coaches, they have a different philosophy on approaching the preseason. Andy Reid is, let's get our reps. Let's make sure we get off the field. And let's approach the first game with as much confidence as we can. And Peter, to your point, you said, well, I don't know if Daniel Jones, if he doesn't play in the third preseason game, the Giants will struggle week 1. I would put my name on that. Because it's not just the confidence of the offensive line. How about that receiver who hasn't caught a live ball from Daniel Jones in a game, and when he gets hit for the first time or the ball skips on the ground or it's an overthrown ball, that receiver is walking back to the huddle thinking, I wish we had more reps in the preseason.
But how about Tyreek Hill? He doesn't need more reps with Patrick Mahomes. You can't compare Daniel Jones to Patrick Mahomes in this situation. The offensive line really, which you brought up, is the only reason you would have him out there, right? He doesn't need...
Which is significant.
I don't think we can compare any of the guys, even Stafford, even guys you named, to Patrick Mahomes in this offense that he knows so well has been so successful. And I'll ask Coach Andy Reid, I get to talk to him tomorrow. I might play this very clip and be like, respond to this, Coach. What do you think to sort of get more in his mind? To me, old school mentality means rest everybody in the 4th preseason game, the final preseason game. Maybe it goes older than that, but that's always, nobody plays the last game, so it's going to be super interesting to see how it shakes out. I will bring up Dak. We didn't mention Dak in this conversation, Triggs. What do you got on Dak? Because
He's not going to play in the preseason.
should we be worried about? Is this one of those things where we're all like, whatever? If there's conspiracies about his throwing motion and he's not doesn't look good, we're going to laugh because he's going to go scorched earth week 1 and on.
I sure hope so for him. I mean, but we're not going to see him in any live action in preseason.
How do you feel about that?
I would love to have seen Dak play, except I understand where they're coming from. I get it. Like, these games do not matter. They mean nothing. And you almost want to see it just so he can get comfortable because he hasn't played in, 12 months? I mean, I guess he played 6 weeks last year. And you just want to see him in there. But we'll see it week 1. It's not ideal. It's not ideal, but you can't risk an injury to Dak Prescott.
Michael Vick running around against the Ravens, preseason, old school, snaps his leg. It's done. He's on the Madden cover. Done.
Mark Brunell got knocked out when the Jaguars were Super Bowl favorites. Like, it happens.
Let me ask you this. Do you want to see Daniel Jones? Are the quarterbacks that you do,
Yeah.
is there like a tier? Where does it cut off?
I think the made guys don't need to be out there. And there's also be something to, they may want to be out there. Like, it may be part of Mahomes' preparation that I want to get reps in preseason. And if you do and you're on the same page, it's fine. But the guys, the Daniel Jones types, I would call them like the project types. Sure, yeah, because Daniel Jones is not a made guy. He doesn't even have his secure on his position moving forward. But, like, you think Rodgers would go out there in a second? No, he doesn't need to, and he doesn't want to.
But think about this. If you're Andy Reid and you're talking to your offense and your defense and your coaching staff, the last 2 years, preseason, we put our starters out there. We've got a taste during the preseason. And we went to back-to-back Super Bowls.
Yeah, it's a great point.
No, it works.
It works. It is a proven recipe for success.
You know why, Nate? Because the house always wins. Like, you're just pushing it again and again. And listen, maybe it's not Mahomes. Maybe it's somebody else. Can you imagine anybody missing 1/4 of time in the regular season because they're out there getting reps in the preseason and make guys?
I hear you on
it's
that.
tough,
I
man.
hear you on that.